Yo, what is up, guys? My name is RedCloud. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys the best escape from Tarkov FPS settings. These settings will help you guys get higher FPS, reduce lag, as well as just in general, make your game feel a lot smoother, and just hopefully allow you guys to get some better raids done. Before we get into it, I'm live Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday around 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you guys want to stop by my stream, it's twitch.tv/RedCloud. Alright guys, without further ado, these are the settings that I use for the game settings. Everything is basically defaulted. I use my health color scheme on colored instead of monochrome, so it allows me to see the color of my health and all that stuff up above when I'm just walking around the world. Also, the other thing that I use auto hide. It makes it a little bit more cinematic for when I'm streaming. But at the same time, if you did want, I guess, like to incorporate your stream a little bit more so that you're not like wondering what you're using, you could use always shown. That way it's a little bit more of a of a footnote for you as well, so you know what you've got in what slot and stuff. For this, I use everything else just defaulted. Main menu background, just woods. That's really not too important. The other thing that directly affects our FPS and stuff like that, there's one thing. If you have under, I'd say about like 16 gigs of RAM, you should try and use the auto RAM cleaner. If you have anything more than 16 gigs of RAM, like 32 or 64, I would take this off because cleaning your RAM and all that stuff, it's a process in the background that will just end up using, your CPU more and stuff like that. But this is good if you have under, let's say, 16 gigs, or if you have 8, because honestly, Tarkov, I think just without like anything else running, it uses about almost 10 gigs of RAM. On my PC, I've got 32 gigs in mine. So, a third of my RAM. I don't have the auto RAM cleaner on, but again, like I said, I would suggest using it if you have anything under 16 gigs, especially if you're streaming as well. Use only the physical cores. This is something that I was doing some research into. I think use only the physical cores is something that you would only use if your CPU isn't that strong. The reason why is because like i7s and AMD, they use like simultaneous multi-threading and stuff like that. So you're actually doubling your core count technically if you have simultaneous multi-threading. So let's say like my i7 8700, it's actually a 6-core, but it actually has 12 threads. So it can use those 12 threads additionally instead of just the 6 cores. So in a sense, doubling my CPU overhead, right? So because of that, I'm assuming this is something that I've just thought of like logically, right? It would kind of make sense that it would work this way. Please let me know in the comment section below, though, if it doesn't actually work that way. But I think if you do have like an i7 or an AMD, like recent, like Ryzen, like 5 3600, 2600, or 3700X, whatever, uncheck that, because you've got a lot of overhead with your simultaneous multi-threading and stuff like that. If you have anything like an i5, like an older gen i5, or like even an older gen Ryzen, I would suggest ticking this on, because of the simultaneous multi-threading. It might not be available on your PC. So just a heads up. The thing I use for my FOV, I use 75. I'm from like a Fortnite background slash a Warzone background, so my FOV is usually a lot bigger. But the problem is, in this game, the more accurate you are, obviously, the more higher success you'll be in the game. I find that my aim has been kind of like something that has been a little off for me. So this is something that I've considered taking down to like half, which is probably what I would realistically do. That's not really half, but like, you know what I mean. Um, yeah, a lot of people also say that having it down to like 50 is like literally like god tier. So I don't know, like there's a trade-off between like having cracked aim or seeing other people, potentially, by the way. So it's not always guaranteed that you'll always see them. Even with the bigger FOV, it doesn't mean that you'll automatically see them. So a good trade-off, I'd probably say just go medium if you're new to the game, or If you're more into like Warzone with higher FOV, 75. And if you're coming back, just if you're just like trying to hit those shots, go with 50. But personally, I think 75 is fine for me. I am going to experiment with lower FOVs later on. Head bobbing. Head bobbing's good to have this all the way down because of the movement. Like when you're always moving and stuff like that, your head will bob. Your camera will shake and stuff. The lower you have this on, it'll be easier for your stream to watch or you to watch. That way you don't get motion sick and stuff. So yeah, that's about it as far as the game settings go. So graphic settings, let's get into the screen resolution. I play this game at 1920 by 1080. My PC specs, I have an i7-8700, 1070 Ti, 32 gigs of RAM, and I'm running the game actually on, it's like a high performance like SATA drive. So it's not the best drive, but it's high performance, so it's a little bit better than those standard like SATA drives. I am planning to get like a 1 TB SSD to put this game on there. So the load times would be a lot better if it was on an M.2 drive and stuff. That's what we'll do eventually. But anyway, I also stream only off of one PC as well. So the entire time that I'm playing, I'm encoding off of my GPU and CPU combined. So, you know, I keep my resolution where it can play. I think, you know, if you did lower your resolution, obviously it'd be a little bit blurrier, depending on what kind of monitor you have, obviously. But realistically speaking, you should try and play the game at 1080p. I think the 1080p is, you know, the standard, and also it's probably the best just to be able to see everything. Unless you have like a really high-end PC and you're playing the game in like 2K or even like 4K, but realistically like 2K. But yeah, that's what I do. Screen mode full screen. I think the game runs a lot smoother. Borderless is really good if you're always alt tabbing. I try to keep my game tabbed always when I'm streaming and stuff like that, so I don't over tab out and stuff like that. Aspect ratio 16:9. If you actually click VSync and you disable VSync in your GeForce Experience, or not GeForce Experience, your control panel on your PC, you can actually uncap the FPS in this game, which the game FPS limit in this game is 120. I actually don't hit 120 FPS. I only get like about like 100, and like I've seen it hit like 115 before, which is pretty good, right? But you know, I don't see a purpose of uncapping it. I'd probably just end up pushing my CPU a lot more and stuff. I have to experiment with that, but I'd suggest keeping it capped if you have a lower end PC, or if you know you have a really beast PC, uncap it, and then just, you know, remove the VSync on your control panel, and that way you'll be able to uncap your FPS. Overall graphics quality, literally basically everything's like super low. Texture quality, I have it on low, and then like this directly impacts your FPS quite a bit. For me, I think like using it on high is a little bit too much, especially demanding on my PC, since I am using like a single PC setup. But if you want to see the game just look a lot better, obviously, and you're willing to sacrifice a few FPS, or you just have a beast PC, definitely use this on high. I don't know about high texture plus streaming, but I would just use it on high. I'm just going to keep it on low because, like, you know, I get pretty relatively good FPS. Shadow quality on low. I think shadows in games don't let you see people who are hiding underneath trees or bushes and stuff. So I removed that. Object LOD quality. This is how objects look in the distance. So I keep this on low. You know, if you want it to look a lot better, if you're filming something, or I don't know, like just like your game looking a lot better, you could pick it to like 4. Overall visibility, I have this at 2000. If you are still lagging, you could turn it down to 400 or 15. I used it at 2K, and I think it looks good. The overall visibility stuff, and the object LOD quality, you can actually see things. You can see players from like farther away and stuff. Because like not everything is rendered in all the way when you have LOD quality on 2. So it's not really cheating, but like, I don't know, like you can kind of see players like from farther away and stuff. It'll just be like very yeah, just yeah. Shadow visibility, keep this on 40, lower the better. If you think like looking at like shadows on like if somebody's above you, you can determine where they are and stuff. Like that's cool, but for me, shadow visibility is on 40. Anti-aliasing is on off. This is basically how smooth things look when they're moving. I keep this on off so it looks rigid. For me, it just makes it look it makes it feel like things don't blend in as much, especially in like foliage and stuff. Resampling, I put this on off. I don't super sample or down sample because the game looks really bad. If you're really struggling to get like high FPS, you could use it on 0.5 or 0.75. Try it up on that. The super sampling stuff though, if you do want your game to look better, you could use it on 2x, but I use it on 1x off. HBAO, SSR, and it's I actually don't even know what these things do. I just keep them off. I feel like any extra like filters to your game, like you don't need if you just want to just go on like Chad runs and stuff. Anisotropic filtering, keep this on off. That would definitely use a lot more of your CPU if you did use that. Sharpness, put this on 1.0. I think having the game sharper looks, more outlined. That way you're able to see things a lot clearer. If, again, you're not getting the desired FPS, turn it down. I think 1.0 is perfectly fine for me. Lobby FPS and game FPS limit, like I said. Lobby FPS limit, it's not really too important, but if you are struggling just to barely get 60 frames, or even like, you can hit 90, but you like lag spike and stuff like that, just cap your FPS down to like 75. And this will help out your entire stability on your PC. So the lower the cap is, the more stable it will be. The higher the cap is, obviously if your PC can't handle it, it might become more unstable. So for me, I'm chilling at 120. I usually hit about like 105, 115 sometimes on stream. So pretty dope. High quality colors, Z-blur, chroma aberrations, noise, grass shadows. You can take all of that stuff off. All that stuff just makes the game look a little bit cooler, a little bit better. The noise stuff is cinematic-y. Grass shadows adds a lot of CPU overhead. Chroma aberrations, I have no idea what that is. High quality color, I know it just like makes the color look better. And Z-blur just makes your weapon blurred when you're you know zoomed in and stuff. So all that stuff is not important at all. Yeah, these are basically the best settings for overall FPS and visibility. Post effects, I've heard a lot of people say post effects are like mandatory. I have not delved into it yet. I think the game looks perfectly fine the way it is. I tried using some settings that Pesley suggested, but I haven't really looked into it too much. All I know is that for me, the game feels and looks perfectly fine. Maybe it's my monitor, but my game looks really good. Um, so honestly, like, yeah, I'm not really too concerned about post effects. If you guys have really good suggestions for post effects settings, comment them below and I'll try them out and I'll make a video on like, best post effect settings, with your credit and stuff. So I appreciate it. Sound, overall volume, I set mine to 80. This game's like pretty loud. But use it on the most tolerable overall volume for yourself. If you can handle 100, go for it. 90, whatever. If 30 is too loud, that's up to you. I use it on 80, and I use on Windows, I use about like 50%. So yeah, I think I just have like kind of sensitive ears or something. So my interface volume, I keep it on 10. Everything else is basically on like low. Like you don't need hideout volume, music volume and stuff. So I just keep all that stuff off. Music on rate end, keep that off. Binaural sound, I heard that this isn't even in the game right now. So, don't worry about that too much. All right, guys, we're going to hop into an offline and check the FPS and all that stuff. I'll show you guys a console command that you guys can see your actual FPS. And I'll go over some mouse settings and stuff in a moment. So, first things first, if you press the tilde key, which is the little squiggly line next to your 1 key, type FPS 1. Is okay, PogChamp. limit FPS up here. You can see that we're hitting 120 FPS, 122. We're going over the limit because I actually went ahead and did that VSync thing. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. If you guys want, you disable VSync in your game. I went over this earlier, but if you disable VSync, oh, I actually didn't actually do it yet. If you hit it, press save, should be able to go over the FPS cap right now. Yeah, we're able to hit, we just hit 130, 140 FPS, which is pretty dope. Just, you know, being able to hit 144 FPS on Tarkov. I do have a 144 monitor, so, you know, I'm able to see that. But like, if you only had a 60 hertz monitor, you just want to cap it, or even a 120 hertz monitor. But the game does feel like night and day difference when you uncap it. So I'd suggest doing it if you've got a higher end PC for sure. So yeah, that's how the game runs for me. And I'm recording right now using my GPU. So if I had more of a headroom on my GPU and CPU, I'd probably be getting a lot more FPS. So that's something to consider as well. Anyway, let's go to my settings real quick. Go to my mouse sensitivity and my mouse sensitivity for aiming. I use 400 DPI, and I am currently on 0.62, so around 0.6. Mouse sensitivity 0.4-ish. And that's what I use for my aiming and stuff, and this is what it looks like when I am in game. So my sense is like, if it's kind of on the higher side because I don't have to move my mouse as much. If I don't have also a lot of space here as well, so my mouse sense has been kind of having to be this high lately. But if I did refine it, I'd probably put it down lower. So the other thing that other people that I've seen is that, like, if you use the discard button, so like let's say I'm in here and I press U on something, it'll just auto drop it instead of having it on delete. And then instead of also right clicking and then discard, you waste a ton of time doing that. So if you just mouse over stuff and you press U, if you change it, or you by default press delete, but I changed it to U. So that's what I do. And then instead of, you know, what was it? The compass? Check compass somewhere. You have to press U. So I changed that to I. That's what I do. And then the other thing is the reload. There's two reloadings options that you can do. Reload weapon and then a quick weapon reload. So quick weapon reload just drops the mag, and then you insert another mag that you have, right? And then reload weapon reloads it slowly. It goes, you know, so you waste a little bit of time in the animation when you do that. And if you hold, this is what I do. I set this to continuous on reload. That way I hold it and it automatically does that long cycle of reloading. Or if you switch the reload weapon, or the quick reload weapon, to press, you just click it, it just drops the mag, inserts another one. That way you're able to save a little bit of time in a tight situation. You know, you're not having to hold the button. So that's something that I've been doing, and it's been really working. I know that I'm in offline mode, so you know, I'm probably getting a lot more FPS than I would in an online match. But regardless of that, like, I'm still certain that my FPS would be very similar to that of which I'd get in a real game. Alright guys, I hope these settings helped you guys out, and if you guys were able to get higher FPS and more stable gameplay, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Also, feel free to ask me questions. I'll answer every question that you guys ask me, or every comment as well. Be sure to like the video, it helps out the YouTube algorithm a lot. We also have a Discord if you guys would like to join, a very active community on there, and we are also, like I said, streaming Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. If you guys would like to stop by, maybe play some Escape from Tarkov with me, I'd love to play it, because honestly, I've been pretty addicted to this game for like the past week, so I'll be playing and making some Escape from Tarkov content, so be sure to subscribe for more of that. Alright guys, you guys have a great day. Peace out.